Hello and welcome back. On the last episode we did more of Lai Wen and Jimmy's routes, which got us, one was about Lai Wen and Renzo Ren, I believe, the strange teacher. Yep. And the other was about, still Renzo Ren and Lai Wen, but at the same time Jimmy was practicing tennis. And we learned more about restrictions. So now, in another timeline, I think, we have to go with Jimmy and Carlos. So we'll have to find out what that is about. A relay race and Mr. Kwan. I'm interested about Mr. Kwan really, so I'm going to go. Although it had just suffered a fire, Pitt Street 99 was still open for business. It was a small and old building. The walls were covered in flyers and graffiti. I walked through the main gate and saw a narrow staircase. There was only a small desk at the bottom of the stairs, facing the entrance. A man with spiky hair was sitting behind the desk with his legs crossed. He put down the magazine, which had a woman with a big breast on the cover, and asked what I was doing here. Important details, obviously. I told him that a man in a long black trench coat had told me to come here. Trench coat? Everyone wears a trench coat. I'm telling you, this is not some place that you want to just walk in. You better get out of here before I stab you with a knife. Okay. Spiky hair picked up the magazine again. I tried to recall what the guy looked like. White shirt, grey vest, short black hair with a comb, which was combed back. He also had a big guy in the black suit with a scar on his face by his side. A scarred face? Mr. Tough? Hold on. Does this guy you're talking about have his right hand? Spiky hair put down his magazine and his legs, leaned towards me and asked quietly, right hand? I don't remember exactly, but I did remember that he picked up the phone with his left hand. That was a detail that was explained, right? He shouted upstairs, Mr. Kwan, the guy you've been waiting for is here. He looked up the stairs with anticipation. However, the man who came down was not the one I'd met. He was wearing a leather jacket and a pair of sunglasses. He had high cheekbones and looked much older. He took me all the way to the suburb on the back of his motorcycle. Mr. Kwan spoke in a fluent English. He told me about the building we had just been in was the headquarters of the Black Dragon Gang, the biggest gang in Hong Kong. That's not a good place to be. And the person who told me to come was the second in command of the gang. He had instructed instructed M. Kwan, Mr. Kwan, I'm assuming they forgot the R, to induct me as a pledge. A pledge of a potential candidate to join the gang. Oh boy! But before officially admitting me, Mr. Kwan had to make sure I was qualified. Mr. Kwan put a gun in my hand. I was stunned. You don't have to do it. If you're not willing to do this, we can leave right now. You'll just pretend like that you never met me. Mr. Kwan took a small metal box out of his pocket and threw a piece of gum in his mouth. No, I'll do it. I couldn't let go of any chance to find Alicia. Besides, I had a brilliant idea. I don't trust your brilliant idea, Carlos. I don't know you very well, but this doesn't seem like a good idea. I went into a convenience store nearby. You have to rob a store? Most of the goods in the shelves seemed to be used goods. Some of them were covered in a thick layer of dust. The owner looked like he was over 60 and he was reading a book behind the counter. It was just the two of us in the store. I walked up to the counter, smashed my left hand down on it, lifted up the gun with my right hand and pointed at his head. I yelled in the meanest voice, give me all your money or I'll blow your head open. It's the meanest voice, which is stuttering. Then I whispered to the old man what was going on, making sure that Mr. Kwan wouldn't be able to overhear me. Let me guess, the old man is in on the gang. I was so nervous even though I had no intention of robbing him for real. I handed him what was in my hand. Please. You want to put down his book and look at me pleadingly. We need the money here for my wife's hospital bill. I can't give it to you. Everything else in the shop you like is all yours. All yours. Please, please. That's... Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, this is just a bad situation for everyone involved, apparently. But if this was the case, I would just take everything in the store. Because then you can sell them yourselves, and you can make money. You can make more money than the shopkeeper could if you sell it at a high price. Apparently, he had heard. Apparently, he had only heard my threats, not my whispers. Tears rolled down my face. I must have lost my mind to be robbing a poor old man like this. Even if it was all fake. I would never should have done this. Yep. I handed the gun over to the owner and loudly told him why I was here and what I had been through. To my utter surprise, after hearing my story, the owner offered me help about my sister and even asked if I would be willing to stay here and help out the store. He said I'd be welcome to stay as long as I didn't mind the little wage he could afford. I mean, yeah, Carlos just wants food, a shelter, and a chance to find his sister. Right? The money shouldn't matter, really. Wow, Carlos, you could have just... That's wild. You could have just met this man first. This is how cruel fate is. Yeah, okay, Jimmy, you're going to have to balance this out with a relay race somehow. I gave the old man a huge hug. Outside the store, Mr. Kwan had already left. I would never see him again. I walked at the store while looking for information about Lucia. Days went by, I still hadn't done anything. Lord, what should I do to find my sister? Should I have joined the gang instead? No, Carlos. No. You should have just... Carlos, you've got a new life. You've got a job. You can... I mean, I know you were in an orphanage, but technically like a new family with this older gentleman. You can help him. You've got a gun now. You can protect the store. My mother had always complained that I never exercised. She would have always said that if I ever needed to run away from bad guys, I would be dead in just a few steps. Relatable. I'm not the fastest either. There are not many bad guys in the world. That's what you think. Besides, even if there were, I think I could just stay in my room and not go outside. And what if your home was invaded, like burgled, broken into? This is the information era, after all. As long as I could get information online, I could play with the real world in the palm of my hand. It's true, you are very useful on the internet. Yes, even though I managed to dodge all of the recruiting activities for the school sports meet, my roommate had totally ruined my perfect plan. Today was the old school sports meet. I thought I could have made up an excuse like a foot injury so that I wouldn't have to sit under the tree, and I could just sit in my room and play on my computer. But your roommate Rocky. Rocky had signed me up for the 4x400 relay race without me even knowing about it. And now I had to stand under the scorching sun. 400 meters. I mean, does that mean you only have to do 100 meters each, or is it everyone has to do a grand total of 1,600 meters? Madness. The last time I had been in a race, I was in elementary school. I hadn't even hit puberty. What does that got to do with information, details? Apparently they're useful, apparently they're not. I thought I might die on the track today. The gun went off. No, oh no. That's gonna be information. The gun went off. That's really. I took it from his hand. I never knew that Rocky was so fast. Our team was actually in first place during the third leg of the run. Why are you first? Why aren't you first? Go first, and everyone can catch up. Still, why was I the final leg? A good question. What were people thinking? There was nothing else I could do but run it like my life depended on it. People along the tracks were cheering for me. That's good. That's nice. I couldn't really tell who they were. but this actually felt pretty great. Okay. It was only 15 minutes from the finish line, and no one had caught up to me yet. I must have underestimated myself. Let me guess, you trip. Look at me, Mom. Your son is about to win a race. I looked straight ahead to the finish line, and then I saw her. I saw my crush. Oh no. Don't distract me at such a moment. It was too late. I'd only lost focus for 1 second, and the tip of my foot had overbumped on the track. My entire body left the ground, and my face smashed into the ground. By the time I got back up, the other teams had run past the finish line. Oh no, Jimmy. I don't like how the gun was information. Oh, is it not responding though? Either the gun going off, that's going to be information. Definitely. Okay. Oh, sequence. The gun went off, and I took it from his hand. Yes. So Jimmy is the tutorial for sequences. Okay. In this letter, there's a sequence. Special restrictions that we're talking about before. If you put, I handed him, and I did from, both of the left side has to happen before the letter. Okay. Because you can't hand the baton over and then have it back again. Furthermore, if you put the gun went off piece on the left side too, it has to happen before the match begins. So there are another sequence restriction to this piece too. All sequences labeled with a number. Okay. Pieces with small numbers cannot be placed after the pieces with larger numbers, since the aforementioned restrictions only apply to the left side. It was a straight vertical line in the middle of the. So yeah, so if we handed him his line, that means he wasn't the final leg. It means Rocky could be the final leg and win. After the number is marked on the left side of the line. Oh boy, I'm completely lost. Haha, not at all. You'll get used to it after all these red signs eventually. Okay, then I'll try my best to remember. Oh, we just have to. There we go. Problem solved. The gun went off being a gun. Finally handed the baton up to the next leg. If I had to take one more step, I was going to throw blood and die right then. Our team was in second place, but now it was all up to Rocky. So Rocky soon finished at the first 200 meters, but something didn't seem right. Had he eaten something bad today? In the end, not only did Rocky fail to pass Class 2, but he eventually passed by Class 4, 10 meters away from the finish line. So that sucked, although being part of this actually felt pretty great. Oh, and we put please in front of the whole thing. Okay, please after the whole thing. Ooh, please can go anywhere. I finally handed off the baton to the next leg. If I had to take one more step, I was going to throw up bloody and then die right then. Our team was in second place right up until Rocky. Rocky soon finished the first 200 meters, but then didn't seem right. He'd eaten something bad today. Let's go, Rocky, let's go. I'll buy you ice cream. Now that I had participated, I wanted to win too. I couldn't help but start cheering Rocky on. Many other people around me were cheering for him too. Never knew participating in this kind of event could actually feel pretty great. Rocky suddenly sped up. Finally, he ran past Class 2 with 10 meters left, and he crossed the finish line first. Well done. We were happily hugging and shoving each other near the finish line. My stomach hurt a little, but can we do barbecue instead of ice cream? You're funny. I pushed Rocky aside and caught a glimpse of someone. It was my crush. She was looking at us, and she was smiling. Wow, I never knew I could get this kind of reward for participating in the meet. I felt so happy, so happy. So this is your S, but how do you? No, so Yeah, so this, right? So sequences can be broke up, but yeah, as long as the numbers are in order. Gunnar was so frightened he was shaking. He immediately took out a few large bills from the drawer and handed them to me. Apparently, he had only heard threats and not my whispers. Looking upon the 60-year-old man and with his ailing wife crying and begging me to spare his life, I could barely hold my tears in myself. Pasquale took the money from my hand with a satisfied look on his face. Then admitted me into the Black Dragon gang. After a few days in the evening, I took a motorcycle from someone else in the gang and came back to the store. I stuffed all the money I had borrowed from the past few days into the rolling door of the store. Sorry and thank you, Mr. Owner. There we go. Thank you for not shooting him, because I don't want to read the gun went off, but gun. Put new post. Who's it for? So piece of rope.
¿Por qué me pasan este tipo de cosas?
Oh, okay. Oh, this is going to be a dark topic, isn't it? Okay. My name is Park Sang-gun. I'm 12 years old. I live in Korea. My home was on a hill. There were lots of similar houses on that hill, and on that was the highest one that was the highest was my home. So you live right at the top, okay? There were good things and bad things about living there. The good thing was, since our house was so high up, we got to be further away from the other houses, so we had a big yard. However, I had to climb up the stairs for over half an hour every day just to go and buy my dad a bottle of vodka at the convenience store. Really, at the bottom of the hill. So you got an abusive parent. Okay. If I didn't go, my dad would get angry. He would beat me with his belt. This is not good. The game seems peaceful in the sense of like the main character we play as has no issue, but everyone else is having terrible lives except like Lai Wen, who just has really bad luck. Lai Wen's just involved with everyone else really. It wasn't just me either. He would also hit my mom too. I never understood why he would do that. I just wish that if we could figure it out, maybe mom wouldn't have to be beaten anymore. Dad was a road construction and maintenance worker. He used to come back home with mud all over his clothes. But for the past 2 months, he'd always come home clean. Sometimes he would bring back some money and give it to Mom. Other times, though, he would take some money out of the pot where we kept food money. Mom always worked so very hard. She had to wash a lot of clothes and sheets during the day for other people. She said she was getting paid for washing them. I really wanted to help Mom, but I was too short. I couldn't even reach the pole where she hung the clothes and dry the sheets. Alex came by today. He lived on the hill too. Alex was Russian, just like Mom. They both had blonde hair and blue eyes, just like me. Oh, are you not your father's child? That's gonna be drama. The other kids who lived nearby didn't like me at all. They always said I looked weird. Only Sumai from the bakery would play with me. She had once told me she wanted to open a cake shop together with me. But I didn't like cakes. Yeah, cake's not for everyone. I enjoy specifically chocolate cake. There was an ant nest on our yard. I was watching the ants carrying things into their nest. I bet they must have a very big home. Suddenly it started raining. Large rain drops almost blocked the entrance to the nest. I went back inside with an umbrella and came back and covered the nest. Mom and Alex were taking the sheets back inside. Then Dad came home. He was Korean. He had black hair and brown eyes. He went back earlier than usual today. He saw Alex there and kicked the umbrella away. Alex left. Mom went into the house with Dad. I followed them inside as well. Yeah. Dad slapped Mom in the face and pushed her to the floor. He took the rope out. Oh no. The rope was wrapped around her neck for 5 minutes. I grabbed my dad with my whole body, but I couldn't stop him. He was too strong for me. Dad kicked me in the stomach and shoved me off of him. I fell crash into the bare corner of the room. Dad called me that word a lot. I used to ask Mum what it meant. She told me it just meant a bad child. Dad finally let go. Collapsed onto the floor, but she didn't get back up. And that was that she'd fallen asleep. Tried shaking her awake as hard as I could, and shouted as loud as I could. She wouldn't wake up. I heard the door behind me open. Turned around and Dad ran out. Didn't know where he was going. Oh, but that's... Just after a relay race was the only good thing so far today. My mum cried. Why? I'd always been a good child. God. Please let my mum wake up. I promise I will be even better child. You're only 12 and you have to go for this as well. I promise I'll never be that again. Pakistan gun. Carlos. I'd been a member of the Black Dragon gang for 2 months, but I still had yet to officially go meet Mr. Lin. Mr. Lin was the second in command of the Black Dragon gang. We met only once on the day of the fire at Pitt Street 99. He was also the one who had me inducted into the gang. I thought I would be able to get some information about my sister once I joined the gang. But soon, I found out that everyone in my group, including our leader Mr. Kwan, knew nothing about her. As for Mr. Lin himself, he rarely came to number 99 in person. Still, there were some upsides to joining the gang. At least I didn't have to worry about a room or board anymore. I mean, you didn't have to with the first one, with the old man. My Cantonese was also improving a lot. Besides, not everyone in the gang was scary as one would expect a gang member. Ren was one of the nicest guys. Yeah, I guess when you do imagine a gang, you do stereotype mean people, I guess. I belonged to the group loyalty team. The group oversaw the loans business, so we were essentially the loan sharks of the gang. So yeah, I guess that's why you have to be nice, I guess, because you wanna convince people to pay back. Because like you don't want to be, yeah. Now that I'd become a member of the, I couldn't coast along without doing anything. I also didn't want to do the wrong things. Told Ren about my predicament during one of our conversations. Ren told me that Mr. Kwan that he wanted to bring me along when he had the debt collecting. Every time we went, Ren would whisk the kids of the families away first. Then I would tear apart their old clothes, spill some chicken blood on them, and mail the clothing to the debtors. Really? So you're just pranking people, I guess? Once we were sure the debtors received the bloody clothes, Ren would then make a phone call. Hey, you got the package right? I'm giving you 3 days. If you still don't have our money, you'll be getting more than just clothes next time. He sounds like Uncle Wang, the big butcher in the street corner, with a violent attitude. The afro on his head would bounce 3 times, with the rhythm of every time he yelled at his customers. As soon as he put down the phone, he would immediately turn to the preschool teacher and go play with our hostages. Turn into a preschool teacher and go play with the hostages. So yeah, that's... You're basically just pranking him, really. I mean, yeah, you have kidnapped kids. That is true. I mean, but at least you're not hurting them, I guess. You're just scaring the parents into paying. So I guess this one could be worse. Okay, I guess, so out of the 2 we've just gotten, this is clearly the better one somehow? A gang? Well, yeah. Who were wearing the new clothes, we just bought them. Yeah, so you bought them new clothes. Ren would get scolded by Mr. Kwan every once in a while. He said Hong Kong was small, so it's too small of a place. If everyone learned how the group loyalty handled the business, it would become more and more difficult to collect money. But Ren never took it seriously. Ren knew that I had come to Hong Kong to find my sister. Even though he couldn't help much, he would always allow me to go out and look for whenever there weren't any assignments. Every time Mr. Kwan asked about me, he would also cover for me. Like today, I'd been asking around the whole morning, but still got nothing. I went back to number 99. Everyone in the group seemed to have a strange smirk on their face. Ren said that they were going to get a massage. Yeah. While on paper, sex work is technically prohibited in Hong Kong, it has nevertheless flourished on the islands. Mong Kok, Prince Edward, and Yau Ma Tei. I'm assuming that's pronounced right. Well-known red light districts in Hong Kong, in particular, Portland Street, which is located between Mong Kok and Prince Edward, is the most infamous one. It looks like a normal street during the day, but it turned into a different erotic site during the night. Storefronts with signs for massage, foot spa, nightclub are sprinkled among residential buildings, providing all kinds of services for customers. There are girls from all over the world available, such as those from Taiwan, mainland China, Hong Kong, Russia, Japan. Furthermore, one could even choose based on a preference, including black stockings, model, flight attendant, and more, with costs of the range of 300 to 800 Hong Kong dollars. On the other hand, when the locals went a real legitimate massage, they would typically choose to go to Shenzhen. It's far more economical there. Cool. But yeah, okay. They've been waiting for me to come back, so they would put me on watch duty. Fair enough. I laughed knowingly. Help yourself to the beer on the table. I paid for those. We're off. I mean, at least we're getting a drink out of it. I mean, is Carlos old enough? But yeah, like, at least, they've left us with something to at least consume. I'd almost forgot. There's someone in the room who Mr. Kwan had told us to keep an eye on. Don't let her get away. Then I left. Is this going to be someone we know? A girl was tied to a chair in the corner of the room. Although there was cloth stuffed into her mouth, she seemed very, very pretty. She looked Asian, but she had dark skin like mine. Her eyes were thin and curly, with a pair of new moons. Her shiny black hair dripped down from her head like a dark waterfall. She was wearing a purple short skirt. It looked like the skirt had been torn on the side. It honestly feels like this is someone that Alicia would have met. So this is good. Well, if Mr. Kwan wanted to watch, then I should just watch her. No need to think too much about it. I slapped my cheeks to keep myself alert. I raised the bottle, and then the rope snapped. Okay, so the rope snapped. That's simply what's going to happen. Thank you. I was reading the labels on Ren's beer when I heard the sound of rope snapping. Before I could turn around, I felt a strike on the back of my neck. I blacked out. Didn't know how long I didn't know how long had passed. A bucket of cold water. It was thrown on my face. Woke up with a shudder. My eyes. I saw Mr. Kwan standing right in front of me. Everybody in the back of the room, they all had a terrible look on their faces. I looked at the corner again, and the chair was still there. And there was two halves of a rope on the floor. The girl was gone. Oh crap, I'd made a terrible mistake. Ren tossed a knife over to me and looked away. I had not been on the group for long, but I knew the rules. If I wanted to stay, I had to do this. I bit my lip and cut off my left pinky finger. Oh, Jesus. Okay, I would not be able to cut through any of my appendages, I guess. Especially something as small as the pinky finger. I feel like that would stop me. Yeah. Of the blue finger dropped to the floor, blood gushing out. It hurt like hell, but I was a man. Didn't make a sound. Who on earth was that girl if I'd only been more alert? Why do you cut off his own pinky finger? It's a ritual in the Mafia and some gangs. If you make a mistake, you cut off your own pinky finger. Some gangs might even make their new members cut off before officially joining. Wow, that's so scary. Yeah, it's more reason not to be in a gang. Carlos. The rope snaps. That's all we're swapping. That's all we need to swap. Five minutes later. Go for it. I feel sorry for Park more than I do for Carlos. The rope fell out of Dad's hands. He was about to pick it up when the doorbell rang. And then Dad went into the yard. Sounded like Alex had brought some people over to intervene. He had once tried to do it by himself, but he was so badly beaten by Dad and kicked out. He never dared to come back on his own since. When Dad returned to the front door, he seemed to have forgotten about what was going on. He just gave me a kick when he walked past me and went straight to bed. I was on the ground and cried. I climbed up onto her arms and, like I always did. Every time Dad lost his temper, we would huddle together like this. That was the only way we could make ourselves feel better. We were lucky enough to get through it this time. But what about next time? How long did we have to keep living like this? I hated to be scared all the time. I wished I'd never had a dad like him. Mr. Kwan had come back. He pulled the chair in front of the girl and sat down. He began asking questions. The others had come back from the massage as well. We were all standing next to the wall. No one dared make a sound. Mr. Kwan questioned. I learned the girl's name was Yi. Yi, right? Unless I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but I'm going to go Yi. Mr. Kwan had only ever met her recently. Mr. Kwan had even brought her to an apartment. Mr. Kwan was a tough man. But he had always been very gentle to women, and he had never slept around either. Yet though he could not tolerate being betrayed by his woman. A few days ago he had found out that Yi had been hanging out with people from the Blood Gang. Oh boy. He had begun to suspect that she had been approaching him with other intentions. He decided to find out the truth. Mr. Kwan dumped a bucket of ice over her head. The air conditioning had been set to max, and 16 degrees Celsius, and it was blowing directly on her, so it would obviously make it be colder for her. Every time she would not answer the question, he would cut off some hair or slap her in the face. He was quite tough though. Her mouth had started bleeding. Almost all of her hair had been cut off, and she still had not spoken once. But Mr. Kwan was tougher. He sent Ren to fetch the bottle of white flower oil. He twisted off the cap, forced Ito eyes open, and about to drop it in her eyes. She was shaking uncontrollably, and tears were welling out of her eyes. She had finally broken. Mr. Kwan was right about everything. She was not just a member of the Blood Gang, she was also the niece of the big boss, Mr. Chang. But that wasn't what had angered Mr. Kwan the most. He hadn't introduced him to the group loyalty for our own business. She was only trying to get closer to the other groups of the Black Dragon Gang. She had only chosen Kwan because he was single, and therefore easier and more convenient to target for her. The Blood Gang had never cared much about their own business at all. Mr. Kwan was outraged and feeling incredibly insulted. Carlos, take care of this person. Never let me see her again. Okay, so that's S for and A for what if we just I must stop Dad. I climbed onto the table and smashed a vodka bottle onto his head. He suddenly stopped and fell to the ground on his back. Something dark and red was coming out of Dad's head onto the floor. Mom sat back up, her face pale like a piece of paper. She coughed violently for a while and cried. I carefully climbed onto the back of the table and ran into our arms, just like I always did. Every time Dad had lost his temper, we'd huddle up like this. It was the only way we could make ourselves feel better. I didn't know what Dad would do to this when he woke up. I wish I'd never had a dad like him. Park Sang-young's story is so sad. Why is it so father so cruel? Why would someone kill his own wife? Thank goodness we could help him. Why killing the father? That's still a murder. Who knows? Maybe his father was mentally ill. Humans are easily stressed. I mean, he stopped doing work. Park Sang-young said so himself, that he always came home with dirty clothes and suddenly he stopped coming home with dirty clothes. Some people would ease their stress by exercising or overeating or smashing things. I mean, unless if it's something designed to be broken, yes, I recommend smashing things. But food is also nice. Just don't overeat. Exercise is also good. Some people, however, become twisted. He was so young. If only he hadn't had a father like this. If he never had a father like this, he would never not have existed. Unless his father was Alex. You're right. Does that mean I had a father too? You're a god, of course not. Don't overthink it. Get back to work. I don't think we're a god. I think we're just someone who you've been kidnapped. And that's your right. Okay. Well, another new person. Well, cat by the looks of it. I haven't seen Alicia's face. We haven't seen Park's face. So yeah, I think I'll call it there because we're about to get a new character. And hopefully I can see you on the next one. With that, goodbye.